If you love movies and movie discussions, you come to the right place. Who am I, you ask? I am the Wiz, and I'm here to review the 1996 Star Trek movie, Star Trek First Contact. Alright, so let's just get right into the plot here. The Enterprise and its crew follow a Borg ship through a time warp to prevent the Borg from taking over the Earth in a past era. Stuck in the past, Geordi LeForge, played by LeVar Burton, helps the pioneer of space travel, played by James Cromwell, in his efforts to create the first warp drive, while Captain Picard, played by Patrick Stewart, and Data, played by Brent Spiner, battle the Borg Queen, played by Alice Craig, as she tries to take over the Enterprise. Well, I've got some thoughts. What I will say is that this is an improvement from Generations, but before I get really into that, I want to say that once again, it just feels like previous experience with the crew is recommended. When the film starts, there's a flashback sequence that says that something has happened that did not happen in Generations. Now, this movie basically came out 2 years after the series ended, I believe. So it's kind of strange. I'm not sure if this happened at the end of the series or if this is something that's a stopgap between something that happened in the series and between seasons, but it's just weird that coming from Generations, it's kind of like Generations didn't happen and we're just going to this new plot line, and it just seems like there's just no backstory. It's just, this is what happened previously at some point. We hope you've caught up. And I'm like, oh, okay, great. So I guess I'm kind of screwed on that one now, aren't we? But even when we get into that, it just seems like there's no personality formed on most of the crew. Again, this is probably due to the fact that they're relying on people to have watched the series in order to actually get into this movie, which is fine. If you want to be a movie for the fans and reward those fans for their loyalty for watching your movie, that's fine. But if you want more people to get into the series, it's kind of a hard pill to swallow. That's something that I really liked about the original series. Yes, it rewarded fans for being loyal about the first 3 seasons. However, the original series movies worked well without the information because they acted like sort of a bridge to let you get to know the other characters. Getting to know the characters is really important because it just feels like to me that some of the best things about Star Trek, especially the first 6 movies, were the personalities of the crew members. And I just feel none of that with these characters right now. But I gotta be honest, it might just be because I have no experience with The Next Generation. And because of that, that's probably why I'm just not connecting with anybody here. The movie is relying on you to have that connection beforehand. But what I will say, though, in defense of the film, is that this film does maintain a consistent tone of action and drama. And this film feels like it doesn't really let up. There's either an action sequence or there's some drama that's leading to an action sequence. Or there is something that leads the plot along. There really is no downtime in this film, which I think is a very good thing, because if you're not going to do a lot of character work, you're not going to do a lot of stuff that will fleshing out the characters more than they already are, then you're going to want to have a plot that is going by at a brisk pace to keep it entertaining. And this was a fairly entertaining movie. But what I will say is the Borg are interesting villains, but I would have liked to have had more depth to them. The Borg is an interesting villain with the way they assimilate and take over bodies throughout the entire film. And really, they were the most interesting part of the film. The way that they interacted with the rest of the crew and the way they took over everybody and the way they attacked and everything. Like, I thought they were incredibly interesting. But for the most part, they're mechanical zombies, and I thought there could have been a lot more, especially when they introduced the Borg Queen and what she was doing with Data. I thought those were some interesting scenes, but I would have liked to know more about that. But I guess, again, it's relying on you to know what happened in Next Generation. But honestly, I do think Star Trek First Contact is a good movie. I think it's fun, and I think for the most part, it's entertaining. But what I really liked about the Star Trek movies were the personalities and getting to know the crew members and getting attached to those crew members. And honestly, I'm not getting that in these movies. And I think, honestly, it's more than likely because they're relying on you to have that attachment going in before into the movie. So bear that in mind. So here are my footnotes for Star Trek First Contact. And then the only note that I have is based on the movies alone. I miss the original cast. I do. I really do. Like, I don't like the first movie. I know there are some that do like the first movie for various reasons, but from 2 to 4 and 6, I really like the movies, but mainly because I like the characters a good deal. And this seems to be the thing that I am missing in these films so far with the Next Generation cast, is that I don't really feel like I'm getting an attachment to them. the movies did a very good job of showing off the personalities of all the cast members and showing the relationship that they have with each other in an endearing and entertaining way. And I really miss that. Like, for right now, when it comes to the crew, I don't know who has relationships with who or what. I know LeForge had a relationship with Data in the first movie, but in this movie, they don't really talk at all with each other. Is there a romance going on with the crew? I have no idea. Is there a relationship that's more combative with Riker and Picard? I still don't know. Like, I don't know any of these relationships at all. Maybe a little bit of a thing with Worf and Picard, that there's kind of like a bond there, but other than that, it's really only hinted at. I honestly just miss the original cast. I hope in the next 2 movies they grow more on the characters, but I'm starting to get the feeling that's not going to happen. So overall, despite my trepidations, I do recommend Star Trek First Contact. I think it's an entertaining film. I think that the action and the drama involved in the film is actually very good. It's kept at a good pace, and it's never boring. But again, the thing that I liked about the Star Trek movies before is the personalities that were on display and the relationships that are in there, and I feel zero attachment to these characters. And I'm guessing the only reason why I feel this way is because I have no previous experience with these characters other than the last movie, which also was kind of lacking on that end too. I'm starting to think right now that maybe if you are not familiar with the Next Generation, possibly not watching these movies until you watch those first, but maybe that changes in the next 2 movies, so we'll find out. So overall, I do recommend Star Trek First Contact. Check it out on Paramount Plus if you haven't already.
Now, if you want my full review on this movie, you can go to my website at IamTheWiz.com. You'll have my full written review right on the site, along with a link to the video that has this review that you've just listened to. Thank you for listening to this review. If you want to know what we're reviewing in the next couple of days, you can look on the screen right now to see what's coming up next. If you like what you heard, go ahead and leave a like on this video. If you want to discuss your opinion on the film or the review itself, please leave a comment. And if you want to hear more, subscribe to the channel. Thank you again for listening. I will talk to you next time.